Hi YouTube. Today I am wearing a sweatshirt that my little brother gave me. It's an Earl sweatshirt. It says Earl on it. Um, I love it so much. I love Earl so much. Now, to get into the video, I so the last video I talked about was the second psych ward I ended up in, and this is the third psych ward I ended up in. Now, this was the first time I ever went voluntarily. I got out of the last psych ward around January, February, and the months between that psych ward visit and the psych ward I went to in June of 2017, I would go to my therapist and I couldn't read anything, which is a big deal because I'm like an English major. I couldn't focus. I was crying all day. I could hear voices. I thought people were following me. I was extremely, I thought I was getting signs. So, like, for example, I would sit in my therapist's office and I would hear dogs barking, and I thought the dogs barking meant something. If I heard a siren, I thought it was related to me. Um, I was taking an antipsychotic called Risperdal at the time. I was on Haldol, Depakote, Risperdal. Eventually, I was on Latuda and Risperdal, and it just was not helping me. And it didn't help that for some reason, I don't know what it is. Like, maybe someone can look into it and let me know what it is. But I would pass. I remember walking near Washington Square Park after therapy, and there was a big truck that said Vivitrol, and I thought it was related to Risperdal. And like, I remember once, I swear to God, this homeless man, he asked me to buy him food, and I said, "Oh, there's a hot dog truck over there, like I can get you one." And he was like, "No, like I want to go to XYZ place that was far away." And I was like, "I'm sorry, like I really have to go. I have an appointment." And he was like, "I'll like catch you on like next time on your way to therapy," which was so weird. On the train, I sat next to a guy who claimed he was like a movie director. So people were like feeding into my delusions. I was getting psychotic and paranoid. Eventually, I was getting very suicidal. I was drinking so much coffee because I'd like quit smoking. I only smoked for like 2 years because I dated smokers. But actually, quitting smoking was pretty easy. But I also learned that people with mental illness, there's like a higher amount of smoking, mostly because it helps like lower anxiety. But like, honestly, now that I don't smoke, I don't have anxiety. I remember I was like chewing that gum. I was watching the show Shameless at the time. I just remember like every hour felt painful. Like every second of the day felt painful. So one day I went to my therapist. I just started crying. I said, like, I want to kill myself. I can't live like this anymore. Like, blah, 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 blah. And instead of calling an ambulance, she did the more affordable option of, hailing me a cab. I went to the ER. The ER, okay, I recommend this psych ward because it's in Harlem, and I recommend it. It's called Columbia. It's the Columbia Psych Ward. I was in Nine Garden North. And I recommend it because there are groups during the day. So it's not like you're just sitting around doing nothing. They actually let you exercise. The food really sucks, but there are like therapists that like work there. They don't really talk to you. At least they didn't talk to me. But sometimes they give out candy, which is cool. The food is like very hit or miss, but they do have cereal in the morning, so if you stock up on cereal, you're good. um, Now, depending on the population, it can really make or break the vibe of the place. Towards the end of my stay, the population was a little bit strange, but I truly, oh, my dad just came home. Hi, Dad. Okay, so I really felt I felt cared for when I spoke one-on-one with my psychiatrist. The second one I had two. The thing about these psych wards is they have very high turnout or like turnaround for like people that work there. My first one was okay, but my second one um was really nice and like would spend like few quite a bit of time with me. Now, for some reason, they thought I had to go to a residential, this, that, and the third. I ended up going to a day program. What I got most out of that psych ward stay was getting onto the right medication. Um, and it's the medication I take now. I take perfenazine and I take lithium. Now, we had tried lithium at the second psych ward, but for some reason, it wasn't helpful at the time. I take it now, and it literally, like, perfenazine and lithium, like, saved my life. I remember when I left the psych ward, I couldn't really find memoirs on schizoaffective, but I found memoirs on schizophrenia and memoirs on bipolar, and I would read both. And actually, I thought it was cool because I was on like drugs that those people had tried, and it just felt like very reassuring and cool to me. And I was able to focus. I could read so many books. I read almost every single Zadie Smith book except for Swing Time, which I still need to read. And one of my favorite books by her is called The Autograph Man. It is so good. And of course, I loved White Teeth. And I was able to participate in class. I was writing essays. I was organizing my thoughts. I was working in like my workshops for like, now I've really been doing a lot of fiction. When I was sick, I did mostly poetry, but now I mostly do fiction. And when I see my therapist, it's not like I have nothing to talk about. I'm not like staring at the wall. I'm not depressed. I'm not hearing things. Sometimes if I have high levels of stress, I'll like think I hear something, but I'm able to cope with it and be like, no, that's not real. That's not possible. Why? Like, there's like no way that the people in the condos, apartments around you are like talking about you for no reason. They don't really know who you are. They don't really care. So yeah, but I attribute everything mostly to medication. Now, a few sad things happened in the psych ward. I made some like nice friends. In the second psych ward, I met the white depiction of Jesus, which was pretty funny. He was having trouble eating, so I handed him an applesauce, and he was like, "Can I eat this?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude." And he did, and I felt very helpful. The thing about this psych ward too, that's really important, is there are computers, so you can get in contact with people through like Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And what I did was I would look up music on YouTube and listen to like Frank Ocean and Gucci Mane for like hours. And there was a TV, and the mental health workers were really nice and caring. And towards the end of my stay, when I was more with it, I was ready to leave. I stayed there for 37 days, which is a long time. They just kept trying different antipsychotics on me. Like, they tried clozapine, but like my white blood cell count immediately went down because that's like the golden standard for antipsychotics. And I had some visitors. I had like visitors all the time in the second psych ward once people knew where I was. But yeah, my last psych ward visit, I definitely don't regret going, because they helped, launch me onto like the right path or whatever in terms of like being on the right medication. And I know it's kind of weird because it's like what causes hallucinations and stuff like that. So far what I've found is mostly brain chemistry and triggers in the brain. Now, does that mean that everyone who experiences hallucinations or auditory hallucinations or gets signs or has any paranoia, that it's not related to things they have experienced in the past? No, I'm just only able to talk about like what I've experienced, going through mania, going through depression. I was correctly diagnosed as schizoaffective bipolar type. My meetings with my psychiatrist now are like 5 minutes. And yeah, I'm just very thankful that I was able to get through that time. And I still have problems now, mostly with my eating disorder, but I'm really working on it. And I've known my therapist forever. I can get more in depth about the psych wards, but honestly, like going voluntarily, even though there really is no like voluntary stay, like if you go, you're kind of stuck there unless you sign a 72-hour notice, which is like kind of complicated and sometimes they can take you to court. But overall, I'm glad I went and I feel a lot more normal now. Like when I was in the second psych ward, they kept telling me to act normal so that I could get out, and it really bothered me because I didn't know what that meant and I thought they were kind of shaming me for being sick. But when I say normal, I don't mean like anything offensive. I just mean like I can walk around and feel safe and feel like I'm in the reality that the people around me are experiencing. That's the best way I could put it. So, yeah.